From California, Mr. Levin is recognized for his remarks on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member DeLauro. I am grateful that this bill includes funding for several projects in my congressional district, but I am disappointed that I still cannot support this bill as written. For one, the bill completely zeroes out funding for the federal-state partnership for intercity passenger rail grant program. For those that don't know, this grant program helps repair and replace the rail infrastructure to improve reliability for passengers who depend on these services all across the country. In my district, in Southern California, we rely heavily on the Lausanne corridor, the second busiest intercity passenger rail corridor in the country. The Lausanne corridor links the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Luis Obispo and connects my constituents to the rest of the country. The corridor moves over 4 million passengers per year, many of whom are daily commuters. And it's not just people. Over $1 billion in freight is moved each year through the Lausanne corridor. Lausanne is also essential for national security. It's part of the Defense Department's Strategic Rail Corridor Network, better known as STRACnet. Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton in my district relies on the Lausanne Rail Corridor for essential shipments and military readiness. If an emergency strikes, the Lausanne corridor is required to be able to move our troops and military equipment at a moment's notice. But between erosion, eating away at the ground beneath miles of tracks, and landslides closing down segments of the service entirely at times, the reliability of Lausanne is in jeopardy without the funding options it needs. Despite all those that rely on intercity rail service, this bill completely eliminates funding for this program. Without this funding, the Lausanne corridor and rail corridors all across the country will struggle to be able to serve the needs of all who rely on them. I'm also concerned that this bill fails to address one of the biggest issues facing our communities, and that's homelessness. This bill fails to increase voucher funding to keep up with the rising cost of housing and inflation. This will mean that communities like San Diego and Orange County, where I represent, won't have the funding they need to keep families with vouchers in their homes, and families with vouchers won't be able to find the housing that they can afford. I was especially shocked to see insufficient increases in elder and disabled housing voucher funding. In San Diego, the elderly are the fastest growing homeless population, and this bill will impact who we are able to serve. It's just unacceptable. On top of that, the bill codifies this administration's DOGE cuts to HUD staff, making it harder to administer the programs that so many rely on. Does nothing to honor the department's commitment to 2-year funding for our continuums of care, which give our local agencies time to focus on ending homelessness rather than reapplying for funding every single year. And this bill gives broad authority to the Secretary to make any changes he wants to program requirements, including voucher time limits, paperwork requirements, and increased rent for low-income families. In markup after markup, I and others have called out how our committee is giving up its power to the administration and specifically to the Office of Management and Budget. And I know we all agree, because I see it on a plaque up there, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7, no money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. Happy to see that plaque back up there, Mr. Chairman. I know we all agree that we have a constitutional responsibility, not an option, but a responsibility to protect Congress's spending authority as a co-equal branch of government. As written, this legislation does not live up to that responsibility. Thank you, and I yield back.